interested into fashion was kind of just always been a creative kid from since I was little. Always loved those little like craft kits you can get from like the Works or random little craft shops. So I've always been like a creative little bean. So my mum used to have like sewing patterns or craft things around the house. So I've always been seeing creative things and seeing what I could do with them. It's just I've over the years learned how to actually make those creative visions. So because always going to museums, going to different like shows and craft fairs and stuff like that, just always been surrounded by quite creative things or people, because I used to go to like little art clubs on Mondays in Hull and stuff like that, so I've always had the creative side of me there. It's just now I'm getting older, now I know it's something I definitely want to go into industry-wise and like work-wise for myself. So that's probably where I'd get more creative stuff from, and just been inspired by other people's stuff or history or just general like seeing the world for what it is and going, I can make something creative out of that. So actually going more creatively wise, the things that I always started doing was painting, drawing, learning like how to draw a body proportionately, and doing like, I had a phase where I really liked doing cyclopses with just the one eye and doing it really detailed, because one thing that like my whole family has noticed with my art is I always do the eyes like a bit too bigger than they need to be, but then I'm always I like focusing on what the person is and how they feel like, and when people say your eyes are the keyhole into your soul, it's kind of like, I feel like that's why I kind of make my eyes bigger on my art, and just it's little details like that that have made me go, oh, I want to try this or that. And from doing art, I went into more like, oh, I want to make my own accessories for myself, because I always wanted something unique and I could never find it anywhere else. And when I was a kid, like, you don't have a lot of pocket money coming in, especially in like my family, where at first we didn't have like much. We had what we needed, but we couldn't get what we like wanted, if that makes sense. So I started making my own like little jewelry, like my like little decorations around my room. I remember one of them, I did like a whole little collection thing, and I thought it'd be cool to like do a little film and put it on my little Facebook page for my family to see. And one of the pieces was a cardboard cereal box with 2 cups, because I wanted to make a speaker, but I wanted to make it look like a boom box. So I got like everything, drew it, paint it, and you could put your phone in it and it would like boom the music a bit louder. There's like stuff like that what I used to make when I was a kid, and like the little craft kits, because my mum used to get me like those kid ones where you get like the plastic needle and there's already holes in like the felt for you to already sew it, so I used to get them as well. And from there it was kind of like making more jewelry, headbands. Like I used to make a lot of headpieces, because one of my pieces were actually used in one of the BA Honour makeup media students here. And they use like the mohawk, and it's just mostly, I had 3 Bratz dolls because my mum doesn't really like Bratz, and I never really got to experience Bratz because I love Monster High. They are one of my big inspirations as well for being creative, because they were so different and unique, and they were like monsters, but they were ghouls and teenagers, and it's so cool, and I'm so happy they're rebooting. But like from that, just seeing that and then making stuff that inspired it. My brain forgot what I was on about. Give me a minute.
Take your time.
Yeah. I got distracted by Monster High. My brain's like, oh, Monster High!
That sounds cool.
But that's what I was on about, the headband. But I had 3 Bratz dolls, and I tried to like sell them or give them to people that collect dolls, because I know how hard it is to get like specific dolls from franchises if they don't sell them anymore. But then nobody really wanted them, so mostly I ripped them apart, and I kind of turned into the kid from Toy Story who's called Syd. And I made them into like a mohawk headband, and I like used like a hot glue gun, and I made it look like there's like pink loop and then all these like legs and hands and like random bits of bodies coming out. And that was used for like a makeup piece, so something that I was kind of like, oh, I just want to make a mohawk because I want to walk around with a doll mohawk. Definitely normal. But it's just stuff like that what keeps me like going, because I used to wear that just for coming into college, and then somebody's gone, oh, can I actually have this to have like a professional shoot of makeup and stuff with it? And I'm like, hell yeah. So, because I always make like little, because I made like a wire like crown, and then I put loads of like spider little charms, like legs in it and stuff, not real ones, like it was like a plastic skeleton spider that I found from like pound shop, and it had kind of broken in my bedroom, so I was like, well, I might as well use it for something. Snap the legs off, put it in a headband. So it's crazy cool stuff I like doing like that, because I've always been one of those people where I want to be individual, but the stuff I want and want to wear as an individual I can't find, so I've always just made it because it's easier. So I just have like a little craft trolley from Hobbycraft with all my stuff on it, and then I go, oh, I can make this, grabs the stuff, makes it. I went from making just, and I will say this because when I've looked back on it, absolute garbage, but at the time I was like, oh my God, I've made a masterpiece, and then it's kind of like, no, it's impractical. But then from looking at that and going, okay, how do I make it better, and kind of just learning new techniques, being able to go places and see what to do and stuff like that, and it's kind of like just improving and just making really random pieces. Like I recycled Monster can like cans from my friends, because I used to hang out, well I still do hang out with loads of punks, but like a big group of punks, and they'd always be drinking Monster cans. So whichever ones that didn't want to save them, I used to be like, oh, can I have it? And what I did, because I liked the designs on them, is I used to cut the top and the bottom off, make it into a flat sheet, and it was coming up to one of my friend's birthday, and so I found like a bucket hat from like a charity shop, and I was kind of like, hope this fits. I did a design on the top where it's a spider web hand sewed in with beads, but then what I did with the Monster cans is cut out the logo bit, folded the edges over so it wasn't as sharp, put holes in it, and then I sewed that onto the bucket hat as well. So I've always had an aspect of, if something's beautiful and other people find it's trash, even if it's beautiful, it still can be used for something else. So I've always kind of been like, why are you throwing it away, or why are you doing this? Because it's when people like throw clothes away and stuff like that, I'm always like, it's only a hole, you can easily fix that, or just give it to somebody else to do something with. Because it kind of bugs me when people have something and it's got like maybe a little mark on it, and I'm like, with the proper like sort of stuff to get it out, you could probably get that out, or you can do embroidery on it, or you can just maybe cut the sleeve off, have a short sleeve instead of a long one. It's just, there's so many possibilities with everything. It bugs me when somebody gets one thing and it has to be that one thing forever. Because I'm like, well, if we evolve and grow, so should the things that we use and wear. It should be able to grow and improve and be reused and stuff like that, instead of just being like, I've worn this for one day, can't wear it again. I'm like, nah. Like, I've worn this multiple times, and this is from a charity shop. With visual art, so when I was a kid, I used to go to like art galleries. So I've been to the one in York multiple times, the one in Hull. I've been to like Leeds, Manchester, like even London. That was a nice trip. But I've always seen sort of like art on a wall since I was little. So I guess it has kind of like inspired me in a way as a kid to be like, ooh, pretty. Because I have a very particular art style. Like I have my friends always say I have two sides. I have like the pastel pink, girly, cute, like ooh sort of type side, and then I have like the goth, romantic, dark, mystery, sort of like goes out into the woods to try and find bones with their friends sort of type. So I've got like the yin and yang of both styles in me. So I've only found that through looking at other people's art and seeing like oil paintings, or seeing like, I think there's I can't remember the name of it, but there's like a lion piece in the art gallery in Hull, I think it's Hull, or is it York? Well, there's a big like lion picture, and it's a full wall, and my mum loves cats and lions, so she always used to go straight to that and be like, oh, look at this and this and that. So I've always had the influence of like, your flat art, and I'm so inspired by so many people nowadays with what they can do with art. Like, the last thing that I saw, what was absolutely amazing, is a person making like acrylic paste sort of type stuff. Like, they've experimented and made paste and made it 3D, and they made a moving swing with paint. And I'm like, where does the brain juice come from? So it's kind of just stuff like that, seeing people still pushing the boundaries and still finding new things, even though there's been like generations of different artists and styles, and there's still new ones coming out now. So I guess that's how that inspires me that way. Because I know as I said, used to do a cyclops in acrylic, and then I did a rose, like a pastel-y pinky rose with like an eyeball in it, with a really thorny like stem. And I am planning on maybe doing that as my logo as well one day. So art has always been one of those things where it's always there, it's always going to be there, and I will take inspiration from it as much as I can. It's probably more just the people, kinda, because when you think of England, you just think of like the posh British person with a cup of tea. So when you think of Yorkshire, it's kind of like the farmer side of it, all that sort of stuff. But I've always lived in like a little town, so I've lived there for my whole life. So it's kind of like you see the tractors coming through, you have the fields surrounding you. So it's kind of like it's always there, and it will always probably be something in the back of my mind where it's like, yes, I'm a Yorkshire lass. But it's just one of those things that's just me, I guess. Like, if you're born into it, you don't think of it in like a big way. You kind of go, oh yeah, this is normal. But it's kind of like, I like the community-wise sort of thing, because I know there's a lot more, like, us collaborating and doing this documentary and stuff. It's kind of like there's a lot more drive for Yorkshire and British stuff, especially with the fashion industry now, with all the political stuff that's gone on, where everything's like, we want it to be British made, we want it to be made in Britain sort of thing. What is good, because you should always have your main community of your like place where you come from, for your stuff to come from you sort of thing. But it would be nice to see things go back to kind of, well, not see it go back to, but kind of just like sharing different sort of stuff. It's like if somebody from, I don't know, Canada sort of thing wants something from England, like they could get it sort of thing, I guess. But it's just kind of having the community, having like York Fashion Week, be like, we are showing that York can be a fashion like icon and like capital for fashion, to show that Yorkshire isn't just little farmers on their tractors. That's when my accent comes out. Little farmers on their tractors, just going down the road. We can dress up if we need to. We can blow the So there is 2 collections behind me. So these are my college work. So this is from last year. So there's 2 projects. So the shirt behind me is the shirt project. It was all based off which category of standard would you want your clothes to be in. So I went for haute couture, more very detailed, hand-done sewing. This is the inspired Gopay piece. So it was based on high-end haute couture finishes and that sort of aspect of it. There is some like raw overlocked edges, but I did that for more of a artistic point of view, of more textures, because when looking at Gopay's art pieces and garments, the ones that I saw the most and was the most drawn to was the frills and how she would layer them. So one aspect that I tried to do was I made like a puff sleeve, as you can see, and then I did multiple different layers of recycled fabrics from charity shops and random bits I had laying around the house. And then I made it look like it blended back into the sleeve with putting the black denim on top again. The project was a denim shirt, so we were given this blue denim, but I wanted to do quite a more dark, frilly sort of gothic sort of vibe of how I interpreted Gopay with my style. So I kept the aspect of traditional denim with putting it into the neck frill. So this goes all the way around and you have the blue frilling all the way underneath it. And because Gopay is so detailed with her pieces, before I even put the actual shirt together sewing wise, I partially bagged it out, and then I made these spiderweb pieces by getting I can't remember the name of the fabric right now, but it's like it looks like plastic and it's see-through and you can sew on it. And then when you finish doing your design, you can put it underneath water and melt it, and then mostly all you have left is the stitches. So I did multiple pieces, so they are the chest pieces. And then these are the back pieces. So this one was the biggest one I did. And you normally have your embroidery hoop with your fabric in it. So that one I had to do half and then move it and then do that half. But then the smaller pieces, there is green normal block stitch all the way down these bits as well, but that is more covered by the velvet because the back yoke and the front yoke piece are both recycled velvet. Do the most extravagant stuff first. So the spider webs were the most extravagant because they were machine embroidered by hand, I guess, or freehand motion. Then I sewed them on with a sewing machine, so that's why it needed to be double layered, because the inside of this is the bright blue denim, so that's how that was yoked, was with that. So throughout this garment it still has the traditional denim, and by doing that I did all the hand beading before I bagged it out and did the burrito. We love the burrito method. So there's all different shiny intricate details and stuff. It was supposed to be a different fastening, but with time wise I decided to do this, and I actually like this than what I was going to do, because this was going to be a hidden poppers underneath, and then it was going to have an actual fitted neck piece that would have more frills up to here. But I actually like it a lot more like this, because when I modelled it, it was freezing October, but just having me in a female body, but being a person that goes by they, them in this, and being able just to have art and it just be flat and sort of thing was kind of it shows that it's gender fluid. And yeah, that's most of the fancy bits of this one. Then this one and the red one were both my brain's gone. Give me a minute. They were both themed around my interpretation of the Victorian era. So I went to multiple different museums around Yorkshire and looked at the Victorian side of how they would make garments, maybe how would they sew, what fabrics would they kind of use. I went to the one of a miller's factory and actually saw them making the twine that goes into their wool fabrics, and that went into my decision of what I wanted to make my cloak out of. Because with that module unit, I did a technical study on how to make a cape that then went into this to make it more proper and lined and everything like that, so a lot of good stuff. So this piece is the cloak from my interpretation of the Victorian era. So I knew I wanted to do something that was kind of the formal menwear sort of type, because I did very to female dresses, so I wanted to do this one because I've always wanted a cloak anyway, so being able to make it was quite cool, and learn how to do all the specific darts, folds to get it to lay right and look properly on the body was definitely a great thing. It is made with a wool fabric that I got from a mill. And then it has this trim. All of this trim is hand sewed on. So most of my interpretation of the Victorian era project is a lot of hand sewn stuff, because with Victorian stuff, they had the machines, but it wasn't that popular, and if you didn't have enough money or like the machines to do it, you couldn't do it, you hand sewed it. So all of this, and I even made binding with the liner to finish it off at the edges so there wasn't any raw edges with it, because still going with the same aspect of keeping it like haute couture, keeping it for like a person that has a bit more money to spend on a garment that can last and that you can wear to an event, and it's a one-of-a-kind piece that nobody else would have. So the only problems I had with this one that I will talk about, because when I made the hood, I forgot like the way to do it. So I because I got everything done with it, I already had one dress in the bag done, and I was kind of like, yeah, let's get the hood done. And I actually forgot that these two pieces were supposed to be like separate and in on each other, not just a flat piece on flat piece. So I sewed it flat, but I sewed it so beautifully, and I was so proud of it that I was there like, I'm not unpicking this. So instead of wasting it, I did it so all I did inside was sewed it like that. So if you do look at the inside, yeah, it might be a bit unpleasing to the eye, but I feel like it gives more personality to the actual piece, because it's not ugly, it's not a raw edge, it's not like bad for the garment, it's just a unique design that's kind of just popped up. And even with it doing that, it lays a lot more better on the head now, just because that is the shape I wanted it. I wanted it to buckle out on the sides and look kind of mystical and kind of fairy-like. And with the back, it has more of this trim that was all hand sewed on the top, and the bottom is like free. But then it has a back little seam dart thing, and to keep them in place I properly steamed them and made sure they laid flat, and then from the top all the way down here to here it's sewed, so it has to stay in place. And even with these bottom bits, so it doesn't flare out and show like the raw edges of them, I did it so it actually sews over, so you cannot actually take that off, the trimmings on it. And this was the first time I had lined something garment-wise, and finding this lovely like shiny brown was such like, I want to use this, because I was very particular on what I wanted this to look like. So when I was fabric shopping, I was kind of just stood there going, which one? Because it even has these little metal clasps, and then all of that, even the folds of the wool is folded into the actual lining as well, and it's all done properly. I'm very proud of this piece just because I know it's one of a kind, and I've fully made the pattern from scratch. All I did was use like reference of what a cloak should look like. I didn't look at any pattern wise or anything like that. The only thing that I did research based for it was I used my technical class time to make a cape, what showed me how to get the right shapes, how to curve it so it doesn't have a point or flares out too much or doesn't lay properly on the body. So this was like the final piece of that technical study sort of time. So it did have research put into it, but all the patterns were kind of just like, we'll try this shape, see if it works. And from that I was there like, this is not how a cape's supposed to be, and by that changing it and then going, extending it and then making this beautiful piece. I've always been like a child that loves history, loves learning about stuff, but Victorian era has always been quite one that pops out the most to me. So when I was a kid, my mum used to take me to different museums, and I always remember going straight to, if there was a garment or a fashion section or anything like that, jewellery, accessories, I would kind of just run up to it and kind of just stare at it and look at it and admire what it was. But I do love kind of the dark side of it, because Victorian era is mostly known for its like dark, forgot the word, like memento mori jewelry, where you would always remind yourself that you're always going to die, no matter like what. You're always going to die. There's always going to be an end to everything. Then you have like the mourning jewelry of where you'd carry your loved one with you at all times in brooches and rings. It was just the fascination of the fine details of the dark side of life that some people might not want to admit that's going to happen, and then kind of the Victorian era has been like, yeah, I'm just going to wear this and be like, yeah, we're going to die, but so does everyone. So it's kind of like, it's a remembering that whatever you do, make it something you love and you're passionate about, and it's always just, I've always had a fascination with it, and they're kind of the main reasons why. Most challenging wise with these pieces was trying to figure out how to get like, so I wanted people to look at these two garments in particular and go, that is based on Victorian. I know they might not be as much as I wish they were, but that's something I will learn from and will try and improve and interpret more in my work. But with these two pieces, it was more get the thought across, look at different pieces, because these dress pieces are actually made by moulaged patterns. So using a mannequin that was closest to my size, taping where I wanted the pattern to actually lay and form on the body, and just letting it naturally flow onto it. Because I know you normally get your block and then you do it and then you put it on, but I'm a very figure out what shapes I want on the body, then put the fabric on and see where the fabric is going to let me mold it, because I would rather it look natural than a bit like boxy. Because every like fashion designer or clothes maker, we all have our own different ways of making stuff, but that's one of mine that I like. But with the shirt project, that one, as I said, was based on what shop sort of thing would you want? Would you want it to be high street? Would you like it to be like a bit more high end? But I chose haute couture because that's where I always see the most creative and quite odd and weird things to come out of. So this piece was inspired by Gopay. So that was one of the artists that I looked at. And I looked at how she layers everything, how she gets her team to hand embroider beads and beautiful embroidery and all stuff like that. So I tried to take as much of aspect of that, and I think this module was like 10 weeks, and most of those weeks always have to be spent on researching, making sure you get the right stuff and you're not like just going, oh, that's a cool shirt, I'll make that. So I had to full on take a normal shirt pattern and block, because I wanted it to be bigger and unisex so anybody could wear it and feel comfortable in it. So I did it, so I'm saying a lot of so's. I did it so I made it a bit more bigger. I made the sleeves a bit more longer because I like a bit of like waft in my arms, as we can see. But it's just a lot of like learning, because I've never made a proper shirt before. So I did a calico mock-up of just a normal shirt with 3 things changed, and then that one was like the whole pattern was changed. So it was like a big like from like 3 weeks, 4 weeks in research, and then 1 week of like making this toile, and then making the final thing was kind of there, like you're learning stuff a lot faster than you would normally. Because if I was at home, I'd be like, oh, once a day I'll just have a little go at it. But when you're doing this sort of thing, you have to crack it out. It was quite good, because I don't really know where I want to go with my like career and stuff. I know I want to make unique pieces and have hopefully one day my own sort of brand and business that's mine. But if I ever do go to a like fashion industry job, and like I'll be already prepared for cracking all the work out, getting it all done, making it as perfect as I can, and always improving and learning and stuff like that. So that like unit was very great for that. So, and I do like the wafty sleeves. I like went to the level 3 college one, and just from that was kind of like I knew this was the like sort of route and industry I wanted to go down. But from that course you can like learn the basics, learn like everything you need to like make your own garment. But I wanted to learn more of the business wise of it. I wanted to learn how to do the 3D aspect of it and just understand the fashion industry in a more professional way, because I want people to look at my work and talk to me, and me have the right vocabulary as well as the right education to be like, yes, this is this and that sort of thing. So having it be so close as well, that was a big thing, because I never planned on going to uni. It was always get through home educating, go to college, and then it kind of, my thoughts of the future kind of just stopped there, because I never really knew where to go, because there's been many things of like, oh, I'll do this and I'll do that, and then it was kind of like I did them, then I got bored. But then there was never like an outcome that I liked from some of them, so this was the first time going from college and going, I actually want to apply to this course, I actually want to, because I did the modelling for 2 years, because of the 2-year course I was on, I saw how the uni students grew, and I saw their work, and I got invited to talks to give my opinion to help those students like look at their work differently, because we're always looking for different points of view, because sometimes you can get quite stuck in your own head. So being able to like come into this classroom and sit with the other uni students and see their work and see what they do was kind of like, oh wow, I really want to do this, like I want to make my own logo, I want to make my own like proper in-depth like research and do everything from scratch and make everything my own, because when you're in college it's kind of like just find the photos, just find the books and blogs and that sort of thing, and then kind of shoving it into a book. But I was kind of like, I want to do more than that. I want to learn what I can find from like anywhere and everywhere, because me love learning. With that, because I never planned on going to uni, I never really was like looking for other unis, but one of the things that they ask you to do in the college course was just to have a browse, see what there is, just like look and get out there sort of thing. But by doing that, I was looking at my like, a lot of uni things are quite expensive, and I'm like, I don't really want to be in debt for the rest of my life. Like I am, well, not in debt, but like you still have to get a loan wherever you go, like uni-wise, but this one was more affordable, it's more close to home, it's in a familiar environment that I feel like I can show my work and how I express my artist form of fashion. So it was more like, I feel safe here, I know the tutors, they're lovely, you can get one-to-one time more with them, like you don't have to book a sewing machine, you can just ask them the day before, being like, is the classroom going to be open or not? Can I use a sewing machine? They'll be like, yeah, sure, just come down whenever you want and pop on one. Because it's such a family here that I love it. Because it's like you can be like brutally honest and just be like, I don't know what I'm doing, and they can actually go, okay, we're going to have a one-to-one like in 5 minutes, let's say, and we'll go and do it. And they can look through your work at any point in time. They give you advice on like anything you need, and it's always been quite a, because I know when I've heard other people's uni stories, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm struggling on this, but I have no one to tell or ask for help for. And I'm one of those people where I like the support system, because if I rely on myself too much, that's when I start to overthink, overpanic, get into very bad, dark places in my work, and that's when I'm kind of there like, well, there's no point. But with having this course and having the tutors that I have, it's giving me more of a drive and a push, and having the smaller class size and being able to actually get to know the people I'm like working around for 3 days in a week. It's so good to see different styles or different ways of researching that I would never thought of. And I'm kind of there like, can I like do that style? And they're like, yeah, if you want to like research that way, just find whatever works for you sort of thing. So that's like one of the big reasons, was just, it's nice, it's lovely, it's close to home, it's affordable, and it gives me everything I need, because not a lot of people realise how much this course does that I'm on right now. So it does like to digital pattern making, to 3D, to learning how to do your own patterns in multiple ways. It shows you how to make it, shows you how to research it, and many other things. So it has a bit of everything from the industry. It's not just like going, you are going to be a fashion designer, you're going to be a pattern garment technologist. It's not a specific like route, it's a, you can try a bit of everything and just learn and not feel like pressured to keep. So detail wise on this one is, with these straps, it was some red ribbon I found in my scrap pile, what I decided to use because it went with all the different tones of I would class it as a dark romantic red just because that's how I interpretate this red. But all the beading on this was donated to me by a elderly person that wanted to help me with my sewing and fashion career, and they gave me loads of little bits and bobs, and these were one of the pieces, so I've like kind of just recycled them, used them for something else. But all of this is hand sewed, and I remember actually sewing these because I had taken my little sewing box with me and I just had a needle, and whilst I was on the bus one night I just hand sewed it all on, and I'd finished one of the straps on the bus. But I remember a person coming to me being like, "What are you doing, may I ask?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just sewing beads onto a piece of ribbon." And they're like, "What for?" And I'm like, "A garment." It was kind of one of those, like, I'm very socially awkward, so I was kind of like, just say it as it is, kind of be blunt. But it was one of those conversations where I'm like, people can see you're creative just by just doing a little thing on the bus. So if they can see you, obviously a lot more people are gonna want to actually see the piece, sort of thing. With this one, this actually can be in 2 different styles. So when I designed this, me and my partner were going to Whitby for the Steampunk Festival, and I knew I wanted to wear this because it was my pride and joy, and it still is, because I love it. So I added 2 eyelets in here, and then I measured and got some it's a different ribbon from that one, but it's still in the same sort of red tones. But putting the eyelets there brings it up because this does actually trail on the floor. So it makes it wearable for practical times. So I wore this to Whitby for the Steampunk Festival. Then when I mean about the darts for the body, this one shows it a lot more better. So you can see where I decided where I wanted the seam line for the side front panel and the front panel. And with the darts on this, because I wanted it to curve like around the bust properly, the fabric decided it wanted a dart there, so that's where I put one on both of them. But that one you can't see it as much because of it's covered by lace. Then with all this red lace on the front, it was a bridal shop had donated a lot of lace well, not garments, but like my brain's gone. It was a lot of lace, decoration, toile, sort of stuff like that from a bridal shop. So these were all white, so I like tried dyeing them and stuff. That's why there's different types of colours, because it was supposed to be this colour. But because they're all different types of materials, they dye differently. But I kind of like that because it kind of goes from complementing the front of the bodice and the bust, going into this flow of just different types of materials and fabrics, because even this fabric here was dyed by the same stuff as that, and that's all like recycled material that would have gone in the bin if we hadn't been donated it here, because college can't hold that much fabric, sadly, so they offered it to us and we used it good. But all of this lace is hand sewed, so it was a lot of, well, it wasn't a lot because I've got used to hand sewing over the years, so all of this was kind of done. This was done in like a day. These were added on, these 2 pieces were added on when the bottom and the skirt and everything had been put on and all this was done. And it was kind of just quick whipping it up because I find it very relaxing and mentally calming to do stuff with my hands and sew stuff, because I did a lot of cross stitching and stuff like that when I was a kid as well, so I'm always used to embroidery. This front frill piece, this was inspired by the bit that you would have on the back of a Victorian bustle. So you would have your bustle, then your like skirt layer, and then you'd have your decorational kind of like woof and fluff. So I mostly took that idea and interpreted it on the front because I thought it would be nice to have kind of like it coming out and kind of just flowing down the body naturally, and having it colour-wise contrast from the black and come down, and just because it goes all the way around to the back as well, and it's got different layers and stuff. And this is when I decided to put black overlocking raw on it. With some of my projects I do this just for like texture and a bit of different detailed, just because people always in the industry find overlocking cheap and tacky, but with something like this, it's gorgeous and it's beautiful, but I feel like the little details like that of just a black overlocking to contrast from the red and bring the black back into this part, it was kind of something that I like and I decided to do with my creativeness. Because I know some people get triggered by overlocking being raw. So this opens all the way up to there and it kind of just flares out. The more you get down to the bottom, you can see where it curves. So if I turn this lady around, this is when I bring more of that lace that I got and recycled, because it comes from here and it comes down and it goes into the velvets and the lace and the more chiffony sort of stuff, but it goes all the way to the back and it goes up into this little split where it means you can walk. So both the dresses have this just because of how not tight fitting, because they are like you can move in them, you can walk, you can spend a day in Whitby in them, but just for practicality, putting that split there gives you more leg movement, and it has that all the way around. The zip is hidden on this one, but even when you look in, it is a red contrasting colour. It won't zip up on this because I am not that broad on me, so when I actually put that on, that actually zips all the way up to the top. And I think that's all the details of this one. Right now what I'm most proud of is probably that red dress, just because it was the first time making a pattern from absolute scratch, making it fit me like perfectly. Being able to go fabric shopping as well was such like a thrilling thing. Like that whole project was quite a big thing for me, because I was like, I'm gonna make my whole book digital, so it was all digital CAD pages with Photoshop and all that stuff. So it's probably the first time that I was like, okay, this is going to be my career. I'm going to try and do it properly as I can. So being able to make that piece and this piece and then the piece underneath that as well was kind of like my biggest kind of like, wow, I actually can do this. I can be so creative and actually make a physical thing. Because I think we only had maybe 12 weeks, 11 weeks on that like unit, and I made like all in total like four garments, and I still had like a week extra because I had like planned everything perfectly. I had timetabled everything. I had got the work, the research done a bit earlier, so everything was kind of just perfect, and I'm like so proud and happy with myself for what I accomplished with that like unit. So it's kind of just keeping that aspect of I can do it and I will do it and I will push to do it and I will learn how to do everything I want to do. And it's kind of just keeping that positive vibe. Even through bad days, I can look back at it and be like, well, I can have one bad day, but I can make that. Fabrics and materials at the moment, with the module I'm doing, we are supposed to use what we have in the fabric store here. But the only thing is, because of the colour palettes I'm doing and because of how much fabric I have at home, because when I first started sewing I was kind of there like, grab every single fabric you can find, I love sewing, and being like wee with all of it and really excited. And then kind of going, I have too much and I have no time to make anything with it. I'm kind of, at the moment, stopping, unless if it's like a fabric I found at a charity shop that's like maybe like half a metre or something, and I'm like, well, I know what I could do with that, so I might as well, like all that sort of stuff. I kind of just try and use like the premise of what I'm doing right now is kind of, I'm going to use what I've got. There's no point getting more because I have enough. I have enough zips, buttons, embroidery threads, fabrics, to like cottons, to like fluffy fleeces, to like really patented, detailed like lace and all stuff like that. So the project I'm doing now is we're making a like puffer jacket, and I'm hoping mine to be like themes on like oranges and greens, and it's going to be lined with like a fluff material, because I found that I have like 1.5 meters of this fluff material that I didn't even realise I had till I started looking for all my stuff and went, I have this. I can actually do something with it now. And it's kind of like going through my stash of fabrics and getting the excitement of going, I can actually start using these. because I have some of the designs already sketched up of what I'm thinking of doing with it as well. So it's just exciting, and I'm like, yay! I always get very excited when I get to the part of making something and being able to go, oh, this fabric's perfect, or this fabric's perfect. But with sourcing fabric, like meters and meters of it, if I ever needed it, it's kind of just trying to go to the mills or the offcuts, because that's where I get most of my fabrics from. Because I know there's a I can't remember the name of it, it's like a recycling place in Hull, and mostly they have a room of just offcuts, but they're all like really good fabrics, and you can get meters on meters, and like instead of it just going in the bin and being wasted, I can buy it and make something beautiful out of it. So that's where I try and get my fabrics from. Quite a bit now, because it's like we get talks from people that are in the fashion industry and doing a lot of like professional jobs in that industry. So it's kind of like talking to them and seeing them and being like, okay, where do I actually want to go? Because I feel like that's always been quite a big looming question, because when you get to like your end days of school, people are always there like, well, you got to know where you want to go. Like, you got to know which job you're going into. And it's kind of like that pressure of like, you must know where you want to be, what you're going to be, who you're going to be, all at once. And it's kind of there like, well, maybe I don't want to. I just want to just look, search, learn. So after this course, or throughout this course, the things I'll be trying to focus on the most is just learning and honing down my skills, so then I can have the options of going anywhere if I want to, and kind of just growing my social media, kind of just getting people to go, okay, this person exists, I've seen them, sort of thing. Just hopefully getting some of my own like patterns and making certain garments and pieces and accessories and selling them like one-of-a-kind pieces, maybe a bit more high-end sort of stuff. So that's where I'm thinking of going so far, is kind of like making messages, making collections and pieces that are inspired by something or like a particular theme. So I'm hoping to do stuff like that, and just growing me as a brand and showing what I can do as a person and what I can improve in the world, I guess, with recycling, being more mentally positive, just being a kind person, kinda. Just trying to do the best I can and making people feel like there's a place for them. Because like with the youth club, with the fundraiser, I'm doing that because I want to show people that there is a safe place, and there should always be a safe place for every individual person. So that will always be in my message of my brand, is who you are is who you are, and you're allowed to be that, and you're allowed to get help if you want help. You're allowed to get you're allowed to be who you want to be. You shouldn't have to feel like there's barriers, and if they are, there should be people to help you go through those barriers, and there should always be safe places.